That lady back on the stuff, she sound like she in love with him. Her kid can't even take their kids.
At what point do we start believing that JayZ is guilty of all the crimes they say he is? Like, this man has literally been accused at 100 crimes.
These Epstein characters have existed throughout history. Everybody is a supplier. Epstein, Weinstein.
In your thoughts on Donald Trump and what it means for what it means for mass incarceration?
You know what? This is a labor of love for Jay.
No, I know.
And as a result.
So JayZ just took aim at Nicki Minaj and her husband, Kenneth Petty. And he made a few pointed remarks about Nicki being MAGA and Kenneth supposedly not being able to pick up his own child. Now, plenty of people are going to have something to say about this. I'm not here to defend Kenneth by any means, but the double standard in all of this needs to be addressed. And that's exactly where Katt Williams enters the conversation. When the industry seemed to turn its back on Nicki, Katt basically said that JayZ had no room to talk because, as the saying goes, the pot shouldn't be calling the kettle black. Even if what JayZ said about Nicki's husband isn't technically inaccurate, he's still the last person who should be delivering that message. Because how can you mock someone for not being able to pick up their child when your own name appeared in those DOJ files? And how can you criticize Nicki for being MAGA when only a few months earlier, you and your wife were having dinner with Trump's daughter and son-in-law? On top of that, the president of your company received a pardon from Trump, yet you'll never hear JayZ mention that in a verse. Instead, he'll have Beyonce out there appearing to support Democrats while he's quietly conducting business with Republicans behind the scenes. So, just like Katt said, the real issue here is the hypocrisy. Now, all of this unfolded at the Roots picnic in Philadelphia on May 30th. JayZ was the headliner, and it marked his first major solo performance in more than 7 years. At one point during the show, he performed a section completely a cappella, and that's when he began taking shots at Nicki and Kenneth. The line that immediately got everyone talking was this: "That lady back on that stuff, she sounds like she's in love with them. Her kin can't even pick they kid, enough of them."
That lady back on the stuff, she sound like she in love with him. Her kid can't even take their kids.
So right away, everyone knew exactly who he was referring to. That lady was Nicki. Her Ken was Kenneth Petty. And the line about not being able to pick up his child was a clear reference to Kenneth's legal circumstances. For anyone unfamiliar, Kenneth is a registered offender stemming from a 1995 conviction. He's spent years on probation, which includes travel limitations and a variety of strict conditions. But JayZ didn't stop there. He went on to say, "A rapper can't be my op. I got MAGA Republicans." Those shots came from the very top of the government. Good luck with them.
A rapper can't be my op. I got MAGA Republicans. Those shots came from the very top of the government. Good luck with them. I'm governed by God.
So obviously, that part was aimed at Nicki's connection to Trump. And JayZ was essentially saying that she chose the wrong team. Now, on the surface, none of what he said is technically untrue. Kenneth Petty does have that conviction. And Nicki did publicly associate herself with Trump, but here's the issue. JayZ has plenty of baggage of his own. Maybe not the exact same alleged offenses, but who really knows? Some would argue the accusations surrounding him are even more serious. After all, how many allegations have followed this man over the years? For decades, JayZ was closely associated with figures like Diddy and Harvey Weinstein. Then, his name reportedly surfaced in the Island files as well. So for him to position himself as morally above Nicki, that's a hard sell for a lot of people. But before we dive into JayZ's own controversies, let's talk about why Katt Williams is part of this discussion in the first place. Because some people may be wondering, what does Katt have to do with the issues between Nicki and JayZ? Back in 2024, Nicki even invited Katt to be part of her tour, and although Katt later claimed the invitation was made in jest, he never had anything negative to say about Nicki. But the bigger point is this. Katt has been sounding the alarm about the dark side of Hollywood for years, long before the Me Too movement, and long before most people were paying attention.
They canceled me for talking about Harvey Weinstein before the thing came out, but he offered to suck my in front of all my people at my agency. What am I supposed to do?
Katt tried to warn people about Weinstein, but hardly anyone paid attention. Instead, they labeled him crazy, shut him out of the industry, and allegedly tried to bury him with legal problems. Meanwhile, what was JayZ doing during all of that? He was reportedly one of Weinstein's closest associates. According to those DOJ files connected to Jeffrey Epstein, JayZ's name appeared in an anonymous tip submitted to the FBI by a woman who claimed that in 1996, she woke up inside Epstein's mansion and found Weinstein and JayZ in the room. Now, whether that allegation is true or not, one thing we do know is that JayZ and Weinstein remained close for many years after the alleged incident. There's even a clip that recently resurfaced showing Weinstein seemingly acting like JayZ's handler, stepping in to end an interview after a reporter questioned Jay about Trump.
In your thoughts on Donald Trump and what it means for what it means for mass incarceration?
You know what? This is a labor of love for Jay, and as a result, he's my friend. We're here to talk about that and nothing else.
Well, then can I ask you about mass incarceration? And do you think the movement is...
But that's not where the story ends. Weinstein also told The Hollywood Reporter that he had known JayZ personally for a very long time. There's also footage showing JayZ and Weinstein attending the same industry event in 1998. What's notable is that this was only 2 years after the alleged incident referenced in the Jeffrey files. Then, jumping ahead to 2016, JayZ entered into a first-look film and television deal with the Weinstein Company. And this happened only months before the allegations against Weinstein became public. As for Weinstein's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, that connection has been widely documented. They weren't merely acquaintances. They maintained close business relationships and even co-founded an investment group that attempted to purchase New York Magazine in 2003. So, during the same period when Weinstein was closely associated with JayZ, appearing alongside him on red carpets, acting almost like a spokesperson, and partnering with him professionally. He was also working closely with Jeffrey. That's one reason many people weren't shocked when JayZ's name surfaced in those files. I'm not saying that this proves he committed any crimes, but it does show that he moved within the same social and business circles. In 2020, the Daily Beast reported that Weinstein and Epstein felt a sense of connection because of their shared behavior and conduct. So where exactly does JayZ fit into all of this? Jay was associated with R. Kelly, then Diddy, and later Weinstein. Yet we're expected to believe he had no awareness of what these men were allegedly involved in. And as Katt Williams recently pointed out in an interview, these men were simply suppliers. If you were constantly around them, it's difficult for many people to believe you had no idea what was going on because none of this is new. These kinds of allegations have surrounded the entertainment industry for decades. So the idea that someone as powerful, wealthy, and experienced as JayZ would have been completely unaware of everything happening around him is, for many people, a difficult claim to accept.
These Epstein characters have existed throughout history. Everybody is a supplier. Epstein, Weinstein, these guys knew what these extremists liked and provided it. To have $1 billion and not create a fantasy island type environment has not existed throughout history.
Katt has repeatedly spoken about what he sees as the hypocrisy of figures like Jay. He's argued that the same people who are quick to point fingers at others are often involved in the very behavior they criticize. According to Katt, one reason some of these individuals avoid legal consequences is because they're allegedly acting as informants themselves.
Even in the rap world, all of the rappers that you know that never been to jail, never gotten any trouble with the law, but they talk as if their life is opposite of that. Those are federal informants,
You think they're really out there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's part of the job is to acquire those. It's like saying, you know, if you're playing chess, do you have any pawns? You have to.
So for JayZ to get on stage now and criticize Nicki Minaj over her husband's past, while spending decades closely associated with people who were later convicted or accused of serious wrongdoing, a lot of people are questioning how seriously his comments should be taken. And what's even more interesting is that Katt said something like this would eventually happen. According to Katt, the people at the top tend to protect one another for as long as it benefits them. But when the pressure starts building, they'll shift the attention onto someone else to keep the spotlight off themselves. And in the eyes of many critics, that's exactly what JayZ appears to be doing right now.
I understand what it's worth doing when the industry is canceling one black guy. I know what happens when they are going to elevate another. And I know what happens when they don't care about either.
So, this is where I stand on the situation. You can dislike Nicki and her husband. You can disagree with her political views. And yes, JayZ is technically correct when it comes to Kenneth Petty. But being factually correct doesn't automatically make you the right person to say it, and JayZ is definitely not the ideal messenger for this argument. And look, I understand that Nicki has been taking shots at Jay for years, and maybe he felt the need to respond. But if he was going to fire back, he should have chosen a different angle instead of focusing on Nicki being MAGA and her husband being a registered offender. That kind of criticism practically invites people to call out the double standard. It would be like Harvey Weinstein giving Diddy a lecture about respecting women. Even if the point itself is valid, the credibility of the person making it is so damaged that the entire message loses its impact, and that's really the core issue here. JayZ isn't standing up for justice, and he's not speaking on behalf of Kenneth Petty's victim. He's not protecting anyone. He's redirecting attention. He saw his name being mentioned in those DOJ documents. He saw people digging into his past and raising questions about his relationships with Diddy and Weinstein, and he chose to point the spotlight toward Nicki instead of addressing those concerns. As for Katt Williams, I'll just leave you with this. There isn't a single publicly known photo of Katt and JayZ together. Go ahead and search for it, not one picture across more than 2 decades. Think about that for a second. Katt has been around the entertainment industry for years, yet somehow he never ended up in a photo with JayZ. Many people don't see that as a coincidence. They believe Katt deliberately kept his distance. Katt has said himself that he's spent years gathering information and receipts about the industry. So, if he chose to stay away from JayZ, some believe it's because he saw things he didn't want to be connected to, and now, to many observers, a lot of these pieces seem to be fitting together. But I want to hear what you think. Is JayZ being hypocritical by taking shots at Nicki and her husband? Or is he simply trying to shift attention away from the allegations surrounding him? Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned for the next video.